Welcome to our third and final webinar in our series of building athletic facilities. You can't get from A to E without checking the boxes for B, C, and D. My name is John Valastro, and I'm a retired superintendent and athletic director. I am here with Jeff Bresee. He is our lead facilities, sports facilities engineer. Say hello, Jeff.
Hey, how you doing, John?
We are going to be wrapping up our webinar series with procurement and construction management. So again, Jeff, I'm going to let you take it over and I'll be interjecting as we go through.
Okay. Well, we've been talking all the way along here about in a construction process, there's the owner, contractor, engineer, and typically people know the owner and contractor. The engineer is a little more unknown, so we wanted to put these together to help people understand that a bit better. What does the engineer do? What are the steps? Well, we've been through A, B, C, D, and E. Planning, design, and permitting we covered in the first couple webinars, so if you missed those, they're still out there. You can go find those and listen. Today we're going to talk about procurement assistance and construction management and observation, the final process, final steps. First of those is procurement, and I wanted to start off by just, what are the ways to procure? Procure means, of course, we got to go hire, purchase, buy, pay for a contractor to build whatever we want build. And there are laws that govern this. You can't just go do it any way you want. When we're spending tax dollars for schools, the most common ways are design, bid, build, where the engineer works directly for the school, design build, where the engineer works for the contractor as part of a team, and the team works for the school, and then construction manager at risk, where a large company kind of comes in, and this is usually just on large projects. They'll handle kind of everything for the school, including the hiring of engineers and contractors and subcontractors and everything that needs to be done. But of the three things that we do, and in CEI, we've worked successfully in all three of these ways. Actually, pretty commonly we do. Again, a little less with construction manager at risk, just because it's a little rarer of a circumstance. But these can all be made to work. And I wanted to talk about, well, what's the difference? They're a little bit technical, and figured if we go over that, it might help understand which one might be applicable to your situation you're thinking of. Design, bid, build. This means we're first going to design it, then we're going to bid it, and then we're going to build it. In this circumstance, the engineer works for the owner most times all the way steps A through E, the whole process. We're here as engineers to put the design together, work with the client, make sure what they want is conveyed in paper, whether it be plan specs and other documents. The whole package goes out in a public bid. Usually a bid that has to be advertised, in fact, always in a bid that has to be advertised by local papers and stuff like that, so that all the contractors have a fair and equal chance at getting the work. This can also be done, though, with the buy board and tips and these purchasing networks, where the package is sent down to them, and then their approved contractors would also send in their numbers, but it's all based upon a full set of drawings, a full set of specs, all the requirements written in paper to guide the contractors as they put their numbers together. Design build is different. It's usually meant to save a little bit of time and build some efficiency. It's best used when you have a high level of trust with the contractor and with the engineer, because in doing so, you're basically saying we want you advertise publicly, but instead of putting the design together first, you're kind of choosing who the contractor and who the engineer will be just on the more description of the project. And then once they're on board, then the design begins. And then that engineer is to work with you and the contractor to get the construction drawings done. Typically in this, the efficiency is that there's not so much of the full documentation, you might say. Specs are typically not done under this, although they can be. A lot of times, a lot of the requirements are just incorporated into the set of drawings. And in that way, you have at least the drawings to guide the project. But design build, it's the process of putting the contractor and the engineer on the same team. This can also be done, of course, by advertisement or by going through the buy board tips, the purchasing networks. So those two, the design, bid, build, and design build, are actually very similar in what all is going on and even how they're being procured. The big difference is just, is the engineer working directly for the school, or is the engineer working with the contractor as part of that team? Construction manager at risk, again, this is for big projects where a company who specializes in managing these projects, they will say to the school, for a certain percentage, we'll take the risk of doing the rest of the job, and we'll go find the competitive pricing, we'll find the best engineers, the best contractors, the best products, bring it all together. Those also have to be advertised. You can, all this is done by advertising projects and bringing them on. But once you bring that contract manager at risk on, you don't have to keep going out for public bids for each engineer, each contractor, each part. So there's a great deal of efficiency that can be realized if there's a lot of parts to be brought together on a large project. Say the difference would be a full stadium where we're building buildings and parking lots and who knows what goes with that, versus let's just go convert the grass field in the existing stadium over to turf. Well, that would not be a good situation for a CM at risk or a construction manager at risk. Much better suited to those first two options, design, bid, build, or design, build. So a little example there. And then advantages. I wanted to talk a little bit about this. And I'm really just going to start comparing design, build to design, bid, build. CM at risk, again, it's a bigger animal, and if it's needed, it's needed. On smaller projects, you have this question of, well, do we do design build, or do we do design bid build? Do we put the engineer on our team as a school working directly for us, or do we put them on the team with the contractor where they both work together for us? These two are actually inverses. And so as I talk about the advantages of one, well, what's an advantage to one is kind of a disadvantage to the other. So kind of see how that works. Advantages or disadvantages is conflict of interest. Design, bid, build, the engineer's working for you. He has no tie to the contractor, so he's going to be watching out for your interests for sure. Design, build, where they're on the same team, again, that's based on kind of a trust where you know the engineer and you know the contractor and you have a trust relationship there, and that works, in that situation. Turnkey services. What I mean by that is in design, bid, build, well, 99% of the time, if not 100, the engineer works through steps A, B, C, and D. All full services, everything we got to offer, we tend up doing to make sure the project is done, designed, built right. Design build is usually limited services for the engineer. Typically in design build, and again, we do a lot of these. We provide the engineering, we have the drawings put together, to make sure it's part of the planning, that it's good project, that it's designed to quality, and we even get involved in permitting. Make sure it's okay with the city, and we've got our permits from the city to build. And then that tends to be all that we do. We don't get involved in procurement. By the time we even get on the team in that situation, the procurement's already done. Typically not involved in construction management or observation, only if something pops up and nobody else has the answer and they got to drag us back in to help answer questions or things like that. But we don't do the full observation. So those are the main differences. Well, and I'm sorry, time. You can save some months or some time in your project if you do design build. The reason why is typically if you're doing design bid build, you have to go out for a advertisement or a process of hiring the engineer first, which can take some time. And then you've got to go and do it yet again to get the contractor on board. And so if I've got to do that process twice, well, that's at least a month's extra time of doing things, if not a couple. So if you're in a tight time frame, a lot of the times design build is the way to go. The last thing, the big thing, cost. Well, I want to save that more till the end. It's a question mark. Is one more cost advantage than the other? Yeah, I guess it just depends.
If you do have a relationship with an engineering firm, there's nothing that says that you can't request or require that you look at the engineering firm to be a part of that team. And I think that's something that people forget about. You as the owner still have a say. If you're in a tight time frame, you can say, look, we know this engineer. They have a great reputation. They do a great job. Please look at him and be a part of that team. So again, that way it might save you time if you're in that time crunch.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Certainly a school can ask and get whatever they want. In design build, that's typically how it's done. In a design build, if you say, no, I want the engineer to do extra things, including construction management and observation, that can be done. The only thing I can say is, and why I put it down as a conflict of interest, if the school is the one writing the check that goes to the engineer, that's a little bit different than if the contractor's writing the check. And it doesn't have to be. As long as everything is honest and everyone's doing their job professionally, then there shouldn't be any difference. But the question is, it's the real world out there, and sometimes there can be some conflicts of interest that arise just because the situation is one where it's could arise. Just because you kind of leave the door open there. Design bid build, I think the reason they do it that way is just to say, well, we don't even want that to be a situation in the first place. If the engineer is working directly for us as a school, well, then we don't have to worry about that. So again, all these decisions, there's always a yin to every yang and a plus to every minus, and you just consider the time and the money and the situation and who you're working with, and you can figure out, I guess, what's the best way for you. And again, as an engineering firm, we do a lot of design build, but we also do a lot of design bid build, and we're willing to work with schools as whatever they think is best for them.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that they understand that there's you can, if you have an engineering firm that you like, and it's not that you don't trust the contractor, it's just something, it helps you get another set of eyes on it.
Yeah, as we look at these checks and balances down here, you can build those checks and balances in to the extent that needs to be done. The difference is just what I mentioned there. The situation makes it a little easier one way than the other. But again, trust is also something, in relationships. If you've got a contractor you worked with a long time, engineer you worked with a long time, well, why not take the advantage of that, and especially in time, and use that to the school's advantage. So just, you have to consider that. Anyway, let's talk about the last step, which is step E, construction management. During the construction process, engineers have a lot to do. Most of the work happens during the construction process. It's very involved, has a lot of people, a lot of moving parts. And so mostly we're there to just assist the school with the management, whether it be the paperwork, whether it be helping keep things on track with time and, money, or whether it be at the last thing we'll talk about, just looking at what gets built, checking the things, testing the things, and making sure they're right. I want to hit a few key things on this. There's quite a bit of detail, so I've listed them. But some of the key things I think that I want to cover here is submittals. Submittals means, contractor, I want you to, on every single thing you're going to do, without any exceptions, before you provide it to the school, I want you to send me the paperwork on that. I want you to show that what we're asking for is what we're getting. That's pretty critical. We get to look at it first, make sure the manufacturer's right, make sure the product's right, make sure the model number is right, whatever it is, before it gets ordered, before it gets shipped, because that can be such a time constraint or money, hiccup if you got to be, oops, that's not right, send it back and get the right thing out here. Very important process. Another one is pay applications. When you're doing a job, you just have to always assume the worst if you want to make sure you're covered. And the worst is, we don't know, our contractor somehow doesn't have a heart attack and die, or run off to Mexico, or for whatever reason he can't complete the job, and we have to hire another contractor to complete the job. Engineers processing pay applications is the process of really making sure it's fair, but in protecting the owner, we have to make double sure that the money going out the door doesn't get ahead of the work that's actually being done, putting the school in a situation where if, for whatever reason, one contractor can't finish and another has to finish, we don't want to be in a situation where there's not enough money to pay the second contractor. These jobs are all bonded, and you can always go against the bond to get any difference. But if you've ever gone against the bond, I hope you got a couple of years to deal with that. It's just not a fast process. So the better way to do it is let the bonds be there as an insurance policy, but just make darn sure the money that's been paid is covering only what's been paid, and you don't ever get in a situation there.
I've been in small school districts from the class 2A all the way to the 5A. And, as administrators, athletic directors, your plate is already full. And having someone like a Jeff Bresee or an engineer, it sure does help you manage these things, because things will slip in through the cracks. And again, if you don't have that skill set in construction, you can be assured that you're probably going to forget something. So again, this is important and critical. And having somebody like an engineer working for you on your team takes a lot of pressure off you and your other duties.
Every one of these steps on here, and I haven't even listed them all. I'm just trying to, be general so we don't have enough time. But every one of these steps is actually very, very important. And getting off track on any one of these can just make a construction job go to the tank. And cost overruns and time overruns just can really make a whole project sour, which otherwise could have been, great for the community. But touching on the last one is quality control, ensuring what is being built is correct. Engineers, when we're tasked to do this work, we go out and check the work once a week on a regular basis. Whenever there's a milestone that's passed, it's our job to go perform a test, look, observe, inspect, make sure that what we're asking for is actually being done. Make sure that what we ordered is actually the right product. Make sure on and on and on, whatever it takes to ensure that the school gets what they paid for, the tax dollars are protected, project is going to be a good, solid project, something that's going to last for, generations. It's what we got to do on every project, and you really can't do that if you're not boots on the ground observing step by step along the way. If you show up at the end of a project and look at a beautiful whatever, you don't know it's going to be beautiful next week or 1 year from now, or especially not, 10 years from now, if you haven't been able to see from foundation up and behind the walls, you might say, under the rug, under all the covers. You got to know what's going on to make sure it's right. And that just takes week in and week out doing the job of working with the contractor and communicating with them and observing what gets done and making sure the tests happen. So with that, that's the end of construction, really. And then as we kind of roll to the end of this whole series, I wanted to summarize one more time, what we've been talking about. These 5 steps, A through E, are critical. What's the value? And we have a battle cry here, or at least at CEI, but I think engineers in general, that if we're good, if we're trained, if we've made sure we have our resources readily available and they're used properly, well, we should add value to a project, not cost. What do we mean by that? Well, or how do we even do that? I think these are the main points. There's a lot of them, really, but these are the ones that I think are most important. The main one is just protect the investment. From A to E, whether it be knowing something about what's being done from past experience so that you can guide the school with this works, this doesn't work, this is something that you can rely on, this is something that you should avoid, this is maybe something you haven't thought of, all the way through that planning process, take it through design, and then what we just talked about, all the way through to construction, where show up, look at it, check it, test it, make sure it's right. You can spend a lot of money and end up having something that doesn't work or something that's going to not last and have to be rebuilt. And what amazing costs those are to have to redo something or go back and try to fix something. That investment that was good to begin with can fall apart quickly. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. And it just from A to E, we have things we do to help ensure that happens. Another thing is just the price in general. What is the price? Whether something costs $1 million or $1.5 million can be determined simply by the way you ask for the pricing. And it's very, very important to make sure you're getting the most competitive, best pricing while not compromising your quality, that you have apples to apples. What that means is I can't say I want a car. What kind of car? There's a million opportunities. Well, even if I get real detailed, I could take a whole sheet of paper and list that, and I still end with questions. Engineers, we have to do the drawings right and the specs right and put that detail into it where when you ask for pricing, for sure everyone's down to the last nut and bolt giving you the price for the exact same thing. And that's where the competitive pricing is realized when you create that situation, reducing the overall cost to begin with. Compliance, you get in trouble with the city, you don't have permits, whatever, that's of course going to be a big problem. We are experts in working with those entities and keeping projects on track. And then just reducing the overruns. Once you get into construction, that stuff we just talked about in step E, there's just so many things that can happen that are going to add time to the project or, cost to the project. Going back to that apples to apples bids, if you've left ambiguity in the in what you're asking for, you're not only going to get competitive pricing, but then later on, you're going to get hit with change order, change order, change order, change order, and the price just keeps going up and up. Well, we don't want any of that to happen. So by the time I think we do all that, we feel confident that we've added that value and actually hopefully even reduced the overall price, even though there's engineering fees involved to make all that happen. So, John, you got anything to throw in at the end here?
Well, my experience is, this is a very true statement. Engineering firms, they know the science behind all the things that we don't see. And so having them on your team is really a huge help. And so don't let anyone tell you that, oh, you can bypass this part of a construction project. Anything over $100,000, I believe, is by law, you're supposed to have an engineer. You just have to pick the best one. And so for us, Jeff, in closing, we hope that our listeners have gained some useful information with our 3 webinars, building athletic facilities from A to E. We feel confident that we can make building a project run smoothly. We say, ask any of our clients, ask the tough questions. And I think whoever asks, they'll come away with a sense of confidence that CEI can do a great job. Again, if you're just in the beginning phase, we do offer some free of charge information and perspective, such as site planning and preliminary budgets. Jeff, you want to just say real quickly how that looks for a district?
Yeah, so just the way we run our company, I don't want to, certainly most engineering firms probably don't do this, but the way we work with schools for sports facilities and other projects, whether it be civil and site work, whatever you need to do, that step A, we know you got to get the project off the ground. There's no project if there's no project that's approved, and it's got to be approved. To get that approved, we need to know exactly what we're doing, what it costs, and a few key things. So we'll come out and meet with schools, look at what they're talking about, get to know them a little bit, get to know what their expectations are and what their needs are. And with that, sit down and let's get this in a graphic, concept plan that everyone can look at and agree on. It also is something you can present to the city, present to the board members, and bring the concept together. So we offer a concept site plan without charge. Once that's in place, the next question is, well, what's this thing going to cost? We use our pricing that we get from our competitive bids from other jobs. When you go out for an open public advertised bid, you get usually 4, 5, 6, whatever contractors putting their numbers on the table. That competitive situation is going to yield somebody who wins. Well, whoever has won the bid on a given job, we get a breakdown of the prices they provided, and it gives us the ability to see real time what the going price are for whatever it is, all this different stuff that gets built, so that when the school comes to us and says, hey, what is ours going to build, we can look at what came in similar in some other place, consider the regional differences, put some contingencies in there, things you have to do to adapt what happened in point A to over to point B, but provide a very reliable estimation of costs in a preliminary way at that beginning stage of the work. And we'd love to do that. If you guys give us a call, email us, John or myself, let us know. We travel, we get around. We will certainly be there and love to help you out.
And again, thank you guys for joining our webinar series. And if you missed the first 2, they are on the e-news at the Athletic Directors Association. And again, we will come see you just to help you answer your questions and guide you. Thank you.